Hello and welcome to Who Are You, the show where we get the opposition perspective and all the information you need to know ahead of the upcoming fixture. We're going to start this week, as we do every week, with one simple question, and that is, who are you?
Hi, my name's Paul. I'm an avid Crystal Palace supporter. I've been a supporter for as long as I can remember, living in the Croydon area, and probably one of the most painful times in our era.
Thank you very much for doing this. I appreciate it. And, you know, we're equal pain here, equal pains. Hopefully we can get through it together. Exactly. It seemed quite rosy in the summer. I thought you were going to have a decent season, and this has all happened. So what's actually gone wrong?
Yeah, it's weird. When I was writing my preview for the Palace Huddersfield game at the beginning of the season, it became very apparent our squad was weak. We hadn't invested. You know, we had the change of manager, which slowed it all down. The rights and wrong of that change in manager was for another day, but we didn't strengthen in the right areas. We hung on too long to get a central defender in. It just feels like, whilst I can lay the blame at the manager, I think the board have probably got some questions to ask for the first time in their tenure since 2010.
Do you fear relegation? Is that obviously everyone fears it, no one wants it, but do you think you'll get relegated? Is maybe a better way of putting it.
Well, beginning of the season, it was 9-2 for us to go down, and I thought that was big. We're now odds on to go down. A number of me and my Palace friends have already sat down and decided who we hope stays next season if we do. So would it be very Palace if we stayed up on the last game of the season by beating one of the top four? It's entirely possible, but we've given most of the league a 6 to 9 point head start, and we've got some important games coming up. But yes, you're absolutely right. I think we can go down, and I'm fearful of it.
Do you think Roy Hodgson's the right man to take you forward?
Yes. Reason? I think if you look at what he did at Fulham and West Brom, they raved about him. All right, at Liverpool he didn't do it, but I would certainly liken Palace more to a West Brom and a Fulham than I would a Liverpool club, or certainly clubs of those statures. And he's already started to show some positives. As I said earlier, I think my fear is it's too late, having given a number of clubs 6 to 9 points on us.
What are your strengths as a team? How can we sort of expect you to set up, and what are we expected to stop to actually, stop you scoring?
I think at home, it's obvious. It's the prodigal son. It's Wilfried Zaha. If he comes out and he's pumped up by the crowd, on his day, he's unplayable. If he gets a kick early doors, then he'll probably have a quiet game. So if I was Slaven, I was telling someone just to go and put a tackle on him early, quieten him down a little bit. And you know what? We've got Townsend on the other side, but he tends to play better away from home.
What about your weaknesses as a team? What do we need to? You've only scored 2, which is a thing. But what do we need to exploit to beat you? What are your are your fullbacks weak? Your centre backs weak? What can we get at?
Obviously, we don't score goals, and we've got no fit forwards. Is our biggest weakness at the moment. Obviously, Benteke, I don't think is going to be back this weekend. It might be a push for week after. But we as Palace defensively have always struggled against big forwards. You take your Andy Carrolls, your Giroux, those type of players have always done well against us. And I think Carroll scored against us twice in the last 3. So we just don't get to grips with them.
Considering we don't have Andy Carroll because of his suspension, out of our forward line being either Hernandez or Diafra Sakho, really, which one of those people, if you were aiming to beat Crystal Palace, would you start?
Well, I was really frustrated when we didn't bid for Hernandez at the beginning of the season, or maybe we did, I don't know. But I then thought we were going to get Sakho, because at one point he was on his way out the door, wasn't he? And they weren't sure where he was going. And I'd have quite happily taken him for 20 million or whatever it was that was being touted. But I think Hernandez is a bigger threat for Saturday if he starts for West Ham.
Finally, last question. What do you think? What's your prediction? Who's going to score, if anyone?
Lanzini. He's 4 in 4 against us. He's made me a lot of money in the last few appearances against Palace. I think the result's hard to call. Depends which Palace turns up. Again, likewise, depends which West Ham turns up. I mean, you've beaten us 4 of the last 6, but this season's form's as scratchy as ours. So I've kind of looked elsewhere. I think cards are nailed on. In the last 6 games or 5 games, more than 5 cards have been dished out. So I fully expect bookings left, right and centre. So there might be a few players you want to pick up from a bookings perspective. Milivojevic, from our side, certainly will be right under the ref's nose.
Thank you very much for doing this. We really appreciate giving your views on what is bound to be a depressing afternoon of football, unfortunately. Let everyone know where they can find all of your stuff.
All of my stuff I tweet out on Twitter. My Twitter handle is Ralfie01. That's RALFIE01. And it also goes out on olbg.com. Football, golf, and motor racing.
Thank you everyone for watching. We really do appreciate it. We're also going to have a little preview of it as well with Gio and that lot. You can see what they say just here. Click on it here. Have a gander. They say some words. I'm sure they're good. Or you can subscribe here to make sure you don't miss, because we're going to have a live review straight after the match, as we always do. I'll be in the chat. Come have a conversation with me. But as always, thank you very much for watching.